Hello, everybody. It is I, your host, Cinema Kane, coming back at you. Today we are talking the second remake of Children of the Corn. Conveniently, this one leaves Stephen King's name off of the title, and I think that is probably a good thing for multiple reasons, the biggest of which is this version of Children of the Corn, while it is the second remake of the original 1984 film, has the least to do with the source material, which is a Stephen King short story from his short story collection Night Shift. I've read the short story. In fact, I've read it multiple times. It's actually a really good short story, and I totally understand why people have wanted to adapt it over the years. Although a lot of people would say, I wish they never had, because if you look at the rating for the 1984 film, I want to say it was the early 2000s when they first remade it, and now this most recent film, none of the films have very high ratings on IMDb. It's all subjective, I get that. All that said, I've been a huge fan of the original 84 film since I first saw it when I was a teenager. This newest film, well, let's just say it decided to try and do its own thing, but in my opinion, to the detriment of the story. So, I want to say, the first remake, which was done by Sci-Fi Channel, I believe it was, the first remake actually adheres relatively closely to the original King short story. Which is really funny because the same producer that produced the 1984 film produced that film as well. The reason that's funny is because King was upset with the final product of the 1984 film because he said it veered too far away from his short story. So this producer apparently always felt like he had wronged King in some way. So he decided to produce the first remake in an effort to make it adhere closer to the King short story. And it does. It's not perfect still, but it is much better. But I'm here to talk about the 2023 film. It is currently a Shudder exclusive as far as streaming goes, but you can pick up the disc, I'm sure, or rent it digitally. But here's the thing. This film decides to get rid of Isaac, the boy preacher protagonist from every previous version of the Children of the Corn mythos. And instead, it inserts a young girl, Eden, in his place. She's not a boy preacher, nor is she a preacher of any kind. She's not out there spouting gospel. That is one of the big things that you watch this remake and kind of go, wait, what? Because they took a lot of the religious over and undertones that were scattered throughout every previous version of Children of the Corn, and they just said, no, we're not going to do that this time. There's a few subtle nods to religion throughout the film, but nowhere near as much as the original films. And to me, part of the reason Children of the Corn works as a story is because you're out there in the middle of the Bible Belt where you can hear all these preachers on the radio and on TV, and without the religious undertones and overtones, because I mean it's very blatant that it's there, but without that stuff, the story doesn't come off as powerful, in my opinion, because you're left instead with a corn cult that worships he who walks behind the rose, but without the impetus for why they would feel the need to want to follow something in the first place. Now, granted, you could argue that there's always a reason that a child feels like they need to follow this or that or whatever that's trendy or whatever, but to me, it just did not work as well. I love the 84 Children of the Corn. I'm a fan of the first remake. This most recent remake, I don't think is ever going to catch the traction that either of those two did, at least not with me. It's currently sitting at like a 3.2 on IMDb out of 10, just to give you some kind of clarification as to where most people sit with this. I don't necessarily know that it's that bad, but it's definitely not great. I might give it a 4.5 out of 10. All that said, if you're a fan of Children of the Corn, if you've seen all the previous movies, because believe it or not, with this installment, we're up to 12. Wow. Whoever knew there were that many Children of the Corn movies? I guess I did, because I'm pretty sure I've seen them all at some point. That said, I've been your host, Cinema Kane, and I hope you enjoyed this review of the 2023 Children of the Corn film. If you did, don't forget to click like. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to click that bell notification so you know every time Cinema Kane has a new video uploaded. I'm trying to grow the channel to 100 subscribers by the end of the year, and I'd love your help with that. And I'll see you next time at the video store.